Hey everybody, welcome to C3 Films. Today we're doing It Wasn't That Good on Army of the Dead. We're going to go into spoiler territory, so make sure you watch it before you start watching the show. So go watch it, go watch the movie, then come back and then watch our show. I am Cheryl, and this is...
Chris.
And let's talk Army of the Dead.
Yes, and it's a good thing that we already went through the spoiler alert because the biggest spoiler of all, which usually is a joke in most movies, but is not in this one, everybody dies.
Everybody does! I guess that is one thing that I do like about it, although the way they ended it was disappointing because actually that's not true. Everybody doesn't die. There is someone who lives, and it is
There's
in fact
one person that lives.
the most annoying character in this movie is the one that survives. And this has to be one of the top reasons why I decided that this movie should go on this show. It's because of how freaking annoying she is, and she fucking lives.
Right? Literally, Kate is the worst. Kate is the worst from jump. They don't even, it doesn't even seem like they're trying to redeem this character. Like, when you meet her, you see her as a volunteer with this other person who has to live in this camp, trying the security guard that messes with all the women that have to live in this camp, and she's causing trouble. And you just want to be like, chick, shut up. You are not making life easier for me. And it's so easy to disappear you. Like, I don't know why you're still talking. They make sure that you know this character's annoying from jump.
Yeah. I mean, I almost feel like they weren't trying to make her annoying. She just came off that way. Sorry, because I feel like they tried to make her backstory justify her attitude. Like she had
But
to
it
deal with...
doesn't.
I feel like that's what they were trying to do though. I think it didn't work though. I think they were trying to like make you feel sorry for her, that she has the right to be angry at her father, and that she's just dealing with all this stuff, and she's like super self-righteous. And but I mean, like it just all felt so forced. Like the whole reason why she goes on this trip is so that she could save her friend, but it's like literally the dumbest idea. And it's just like the dumbest thing. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, what? First of all, I know that like her friend is alive. When they go into the zombie area, the zombie zone,
Into
but
Vegas, yeah.
in Vegas. But the chances of her friend still being alive is like close to none without knowing anything about it, like about the special zombies and stuff like that.
Right.
So like going in there to try to look for your friend because you want her to live to take care of her children is like the stupidest thing, because the best thing to do would have been to take it upon yourself to take care of the children, not go on a suicide mission and really leave the kids alone, because then they
Yeah,
would
because now they
really
have
have no
nobody.
one.
Yeah. And all because, yeah, the way to get her into the movie was very contrived because the movie knew that it had no real reason for her to go with that group. So they made her this belligerent, oh, I'm going to go in so I could save my friend. Because also, so it's funny because as dumb as that is, I actually think the movie is pretty smart in how the most of the other characters handle different things and the different elements about like how they're to prepare to deal with zombies. Like when things go bad near the end of the movie, it's actually not through any fault of the characters that agreed to come here as a part of this mission for the mission that they're trying to do. Everybody that shows up that doesn't have an ulterior motive, they do their job to a T. They're smart. So this is one of those one moments when it's like, okay, they because of that, their characters are almost too smart because there's no good reason for these characters to look for that person when they already know that they're going into dangerous territory and even said before they went in that there's a good chance that some of us would die. Like one of my favorite scenes is when Batista is yelling at his daughter saying, "If you screw around, you're going to get these people killed." And I'm sitting there just like, "Yeah,
That's what's
that's
gonna
real." They're
happen.
basically Yeah, which is kind of what. Well, it wasn't her fault though. It wasn't her fault why they got killed, but it's funny because that's the. It's almost like the movie knows how plots go in other zombie movies, so they literally have the main characters talk about those things that could happen in other zombie movies, so that they won't happen here. And so that's one of the things that I did like about it. But because of the fact that those characters are smart, they wouldn't go look for that girl. So she has to come along because she's going to be the one to look for them. But even when she does find them, she only finds them out of luck because if those zombies didn't get pulled away, what was her plan?
Yeah, she would have been dead. And I mean, she did. I feel like she did get her father killed though. So, and the
Yes.
pilot. And I think her friend died too. So she ended up killing her friend too,
Yeah.
I guess.
Basically.
I mean, her friend probably was dead either way, you know, or like was going to end up turning. But
Yeah, her friend just kind of disappears at the end of the movie. We don't see her friend's body, and we don't even see her friend like walking back to her after the father is dead. So her friend's fate is actually left up in the air.
yeah.
But hey, I guess she's got a couple of $100,000 now. So woohoo!
Yeah. I thought that scene though, it was weird because like a helicopter arrived, I guess, to pick her up and stuff. But it's like they didn't know that they were there, so where's that helicopter coming from? How did they know where to go? I guess they put that
Oh,
there to like show us that she's getting saved. But that didn't make any sense to me at all, like why that helicopter was coming.
that one I didn't mind so much because the helicopter they just dropped a nuke on Vegas. So or a low yield nuke or whatever. I figured that helicopter was going to confirm that things were dead. So like they would because they would want to confirm after they just nuked a city full of zombies that those zombies actually are dead. You can't tell that from afar. So I actually just thought that the helicopter and stuff because it was heading towards the city. So I figured it was going towards the city to either check to make sure things were dead or whatever, and then if there were some survivors, they'd pick them up along the way, which is what happened.
I guess. But that doesn't explain where she got the gun to shoot her father.
No, the gun was still in the helicopter. The gun was this gun that he used to kill the zombie that bit him.
So she just picked that one up. I
Yeah,
mean,
the same one.
it's they seem to almost have like no they have like unlimited ammo.
Oh, yes, they absolutely have unlimited ammo, but at the same time, you can make the argument that they have enough ammo because they knew exactly what they were doing. Because, unlike other zombie movies where, like, it's interesting, so I'll get into that other part in a second, but unlike other zombie movies where the people don't know the zombie apocalypse is coming and then have to, like, stock up while they're already in the apocalypse, these people are going actively into an apocalypse where they know they're going to have to fight zombies. So, wouldn't you make sure that you have as much ammo as humanly possible to carry?
I mean, she had that one gun, and then she brought that one gun into the Olympus, and then she used like she shot a lot, and before it was empty, and I was like, okay, at least it's empty. But I mean, they were just it was just yeah. No.
I mean, you know, uh, clips of guns can hold like 15 to 20 bullets. I would say that she used about 15 to 20 bullets to kill all those zombies that were rushing at her. And then she shot two at the guy with the alpha with the helmet on.
All right. Well, then how do you explain how that guy got out of the vault?
Oh, because the nuke destroyed it. And then look,
The nuke
he
destroyed it and not
survived.
him. He came out from underground.
Yeah, because well, remember it was underground, the vault.
Yeah, so
Um,
how did the nuke destroy the vault that was underground? Plus it's a vault. It's like a stronghold.
True. I don't know. What I was thinking that would happen was just like the force of the nuke was so strong. Like first of all, he'd be protected from the nuke initially because of the fact he's in the vault. But after the explosion and everything, the payload like goes throughout the entire city, it would have like knocked the vault around and like might even blown the vault upwards or whatever and knocked the door off its hinges or whatnot. That was not the least out of all the things that were in that movie, that is not the least most believable thing to me.
It bothered me though.
So, but yeah, one of the things that I liked about this movie, which we were talking about similarly how Christopher Robin did this, there's a movie before this movie,
Oh, there
which I
is.
thought was kind of cool. Well, yeah, because the opening credits are telling a different movie. It's almost like
Oh,
this
I see what you're
movie,
saying.
the sequel to a movie we didn't get to see. Because the movie that happens at the beginning during the credits is the outbreak of the zombie apocalypse. But it's crazy because we're meeting characters in the opening credits that won't be alive by the end of the credits. So we see like characters save other characters, like they save a little girl, and there's this whole journey that happens in the opening credits of the movie that you're able to follow, and then it ends at the end of the credits, and those two characters that you see are like that, or presumably like the main characters or heroes of that movie, they die, and that little girl dies too. But then they stop themselves from being overrun with zombies, and that's the end of that movie. And I thought that that was a very interesting idea to kind of skip the zombie outbreak portion of the movie, which is normally what we would see, and then like and even tell a whole story. And then now we're coming into a sequel where the zombie apocalypse has already happened and it's contained within this one place. But now you have this whole place that is a zombie world, but these characters, if they enter it, can go in and be properly prepared. So I thought that that was kind of cool, a cool way of telling a story, but then doing something different afterwards.
Yeah, I definitely would agree that Zack Snyder is pretty good at doing visual storytelling. I also thought that he had some good music choices this for this movie. And I also think that the story is one of the more interesting twists on a zombie movie. Although it pretty much is like a it's a heist movie, right?
Right.
It reminded me a lot of Ocean's 11 actually. You get the gang
Yeah.
together and do this job and everyone has a specialty. Um yeah, I mean, so I can appreciate the idea that they have behind it, like it being different than a regular zombie movie. It really is more
Yeah.
of a heist movie than a zombie movie. It's a heist movie that has zombies in it. I think my
Right.
problem is that mixture made, to me at least, to feel too long because usually the actual, well, I mean, yes, it was a long movie. It was a very long movie. But I feel like it felt even longer because usually in heist movies the actual heist in the movie is very short, but
Right.
in this movie it was basically half of the movie. And like usually it's more about the characters and the planning of it, and the execution is at like the very end where the twist happens, things go wrong and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I think because of that the pacing felt very slow to me because of the execution being so terribly slow.
Yeah, and that might be something that just comes. I think that's a repeating motif for Snyder. So if it's like, it's one of those things where if like that kind of bothers you about his filmmaking, that's not going to go away because that's kind of his style. And if it doesn't bother you, then you won't have that much of a problem with it. I much like when we talked about the Snyder cut of Justice League, this movie probably didn't need to be 2.5 hours long. Probably could have been 2 hours and still been fine, or maybe 2 hours and 10 minutes. But generally, though, I didn't mind the build up in the beginning because I felt like we were getting the opportunity to kind of meet these characters, get the idea that these characters already have a history, much like when you're putting the team together in like an Ocean's 11 type film. So I did like the different the different specialties that people brought to the table and the fact that people knew the value of their specialty. Like, I remember when I was watching the movie, I thought to myself, your job is to keep the safecracker alive. So as far as structure of this movie goes, that safecracker doesn't die before you get to the safe, because then you have no movie. So he at least has to open a safe. After he opens the safe, all bets are off. Helicopter pilot, you have to make it to the end of the movie because otherwise you're not flying out of there. And I love it that in the movie she brings that up. Yeah. She says, "I'm one of the most valuable people that you have to stay alive. You have to keep alive."
Yeah.
So there's things like that that I thought were smart.
Yeah, definitely. There were a lot of good, fun things in the movie. So like I probably appreciate the movie more than I'm saying, but I think it was just, maybe Zack Snyder is just not for me because I don't like any of his movies, but we keep doing them.
Probably the last one we do for a while, because we did just do Sucker Punch as well. But the thing that gets me is that they lucked out by meeting Lily. Lily was the luckiest person Lily was one of the luckiest people that they could have met, or they were lucky for meeting her, which is the Coyote, because remember, the Coyote was not originally a part of their team, and they just needed the daughter, Kate, in order to get them to the place so that they could go in themselves. But had they gone in without the Coyote, they would have been screwed because they wouldn't have known any of the rules, and they would have started wasting a lot of ammo much sooner. But she carried them through that plan, and she wasn't even supposed to be there. That I love that character, by the way. I thought that character and that actress did a really good job.
Yeah, she was good. They definitely would have all been dead without her.
Right?
Yeah. No, I agree. I liked her character. She was also definitely like a expositional tool, but in a good way. Like, she didn't explain too much, but it was part of it was blended into the movie very well. So it didn't feel like exposition, but it was a much needed explanation. But it was interesting. It's like what she was telling us. It wasn't long. It wasn't like a long-winded explanation where she's just standing there telling you stuff. She was explaining it to them as she was executing. So
right,
like she didn't just tell them like, "Oh, this is the plan. This is what we're gonna do," and then we see the plan. She was like walking them through it while it was happening. So
it felt very natural in that way, and it makes sense because in a world where all of the villains can't speak our language, you need somebody to be able to translate what the rules of the world are for us that does speak our language. So she came, and since she was that Coyote that got people in and out, and you got the feeling that she had been doing this for like years, it felt natural that she would be that source of information for us because she's learned all this information slowly over time. So even when they go in, they don't know that the zombies can be intelligent. They're thinking that all of them are the same. And rather than in a normal movie, you would have the characters come in, think all the zombies are normal, and then they get to this one point where they're getting attacked, and then a zombie does something that it shouldn't do, and it's like, oh my gosh, they're thinking they're smart. But she tells them right off the bat, no, there are smart zombies here that are intelligent, and there is a hierarchy, and this is a world, and you do not want to mess with it. And I love that part about it. It's just, it skips over all this other zombie story, like, tropes, and just gets right to the point of other things in the movie. And she was that outlet for that, and I liked it. Mm-hmm. I liked what she brought.
Yeah, there was this one part where she was talking about the zombie skeletons that were right by the entrance to the zombie zone, where she explained that, like, wait till it rains and then they like kind of come back to life. And I was like, I want to see that. I thought they were going to do that, but they didn't. I was like, please rain. Please rain. It's going to rain. but they never do it. Like, why would you put that in the movie? Like, why would you throw that line in the movie and then not use it? That would have been so
That's
cool.
that's fair. It's for the world building, but you're right. Like, while it's a cool idea world building wise, it almost kind of feels like a tease, right? You want to see that because I thought the same thing. Because I put that in my notes too, that it's kind of cool that the zombies actually are affected by the elements here because we don't normally see that in zombie movies either. One of the things about being in a zombie movie is that they would be susceptible to nature and nature would make them deteriorate faster. So I like the idea that they actually dealt with that with this group of zombies that didn't get out of the sun and now they're here. So, and like you saw the people, they were like ready to start fighting right away. And she's like, "No, we're good." And it's like these different things that constantly surprise you. But I would have liked to see that too. I would have loved to see that rain.
Yeah, it was definitely very like that's when it became pretty interesting to me. Uh,
Mhm.
and then it dragged on. But it did get
Yeah,
interesting there because I was like, "Oh, this is more than just a zombie movie. There are different kinds of zombies. There are different things about like this area, this world that we don't know. It's not the same thing as every other zombie movie that we have seen before. There are just things that we don't know and we get to find out, and that's what was intriguing. But I feel like there are things where they didn't explore it enough, they didn't use enough of it, and then the execution of the plan took too long, and they're like the the bomb time got moved up, but they had like no haste. I'm like, oh come on, Zack Snyder, like, we have to have the main character and his love interest have a conversation. You know, I mean, like
right. Yeah,
when you know you only have like an hour and a half or something left, as soon as that vault opens, I
you're
am
booking.
running. I'm ready with a car. I'm ready with like whatever we can to like bring it upstairs in one go because we are not going to make several trips. And then I'm definitely not gonna stand here and have a casual conversation about whether or not I should be in a relationship with this woman. like
Right.
like the last thing I'm going to be thinking about even being in a zombie area is a relationship with someone. I'm too worried about dying, surviving.
No, I mean that's fair. And I was about to say I felt I couldn't remember if they were talking while the safe was being opened, but no, you're right. The safe was already opened at that point. So at that time, it's book it or lose it. Uh, so yeah, the thing that I'm now thinking about that doesn't make too much sense to me is why did the I want to say Takuma. I don't remember the guy's name actually. The guy played by Hiroyuki Sanada. Um, the guy that he hired, which was Garrett Dillahunt's character, why was he, who was the one that betrayed them, basically? Why was he there? Because he didn't need what was in the safe. So he really, the moment that he got the head of the zombie lady, that could have been when he booked it to go and like kill the pilot if he was going to kill them all anyway.
Yeah,
That
like
could have
they
been when
were
he went to
there.
go kill the pilot and try to fly.
Exactly, like he was already there with the coyote right by the front entrance, so he could have just like walked out with the head, and like she was already in on it. We know that. So he could have just bounced, and you're absolutely right. That did
Yeah,
not make any sense at all.
yeah. So that is a problem. But like it's funny because the rest of the movie would, and this is how it normally works, right? Human error is always the thing that's going to set this thing off. If they had stuck to the plan, and if he didn't try to betray them, or if he didn't even take the head, if he had done what he was supposed to do, which was just get a couple of like some samples of her blood or whatever, they would have been fine. They wouldn't have been attacked. They gave their offering, which I thought was funny, by the way, because the moment she said we need another guy, I just shook my hand and be like, "Oh man, she gonna get you killed, bro. You don't even know, you poor dumb rapist. You don't even know." And he comes just strutting his stuff, and then everyone's messing with him. Like the pilot says, "Oh yeah, the saw's for you." And then our friend Val shows up and is like, "Don't touch my stuff and don't talk to her," and just completely emasculates this man in front of everybody, and it's great. It's so good.
I mean, you get that justice. Like you make a bad character and then you kill him off. Like you drag him through the mud. It feels good.
Yeah, they quite literally drag that dude off to his death. That poor man. But yeah, the thing that makes the movie, and this is why I was saying I didn't think it was Katie's fault, but you are right about like getting her father killed. The thing that sets off their problems is the fact that Garrett Dillahunt took the zombie's head, the queen's head, and if he hadn't done that, then they would have been left alone. So that's the thing that messed them up. But that's why I'm saying the people that were supposed to be a part of the plan actually stuck to the plan and did a good job of sticking to that plan and of carrying that plan out. So the two other things I wanted to bring up for the next part is the action sequences when we got to see people fight. What did you like? How did you like that? Because I thought it was very well choreographed. When we saw the one girl, the first girl that dies in the movie, and she has these constant moments where you think she's going to die, but she's fighting her way out of all these zombies in this cool, like John Woo, John Wick type of like action gun set piece. I was hype at that moment. I was like, this is very impressive choreography and it looks good and it's well shot and this actress is awesome. Like, what did you think about that?
Yeah, no, I liked it. I didn't really take too much notice to it, which is a good thing because it means I didn't see anything wrong with it. But I didn't. I think I was too distracted by it being such a long movie, and also I was scared. I had to pause it a couple of times so I could just like meditate a little bit because, like, I mean, if you guys didn't know. I'm like a huge chicken and I can't take scary movies very well, so I had to pause it a few times so I could just like get to like a zen, and then I turned it back on and I was like, okay, I just need to get through this movie because I don't think it's gonna stop being scary for a while.
Right, right. Well, yeah. No, there's like the action was very well shot. And the
Slow
next
mo in
thing
the.
that I wanted to talk. Hmm?
I was gonna say he put slow mo in the right places.
Yes. I This one I didn't feel like was overly slow mo. Like the slow mo really worked well here.
Except for
And
after they open the safe. That's
fair enough.
that's when slow mo is bad.
True. It's amazing also how comedic this movie is when they have that whole planning heist scene where they're cutting in between what the plan could go like and what the plan, and then them actually talking about the plan and them constantly interrupting and cutting back and forth. And even that whole segment with Hiroyuki Sanada and saying Japanesey. It's
Yes.
like, what is this? This is ridiculous, but I love it.
That was definitely one of my favorite scenes. I thought like that character, the safecracker, I think his name is Dieter. He
Dieter.
was so
Yeah.
funny. He felt like the comic relief where like he's just like a punching bag for the rest of the characters to like make fun of, and um it I don't know, I just thought it was funny, but also um good, or like, it's a good point where he actually asks them like, how do you kill a zombie, like what are the rules, like what do we need to do, and they're like, you aim for the head, like it's the brain, right? And he's like, can I use a rock, would a rock work? And he's like, yeah, the brain. And then he's like, okay,
Still
good
attacking
to
the
know.
brain.
I mean, that's genuinely good information to know for this expedition. So
Right. Don't forget also in that same scene, you have the guy that showed up with, I forget the guy with the blonde hair's name, but he was a part of his crew. And he said, wait a second. This is the plan? Zombies? Nah, fam, I'm good. I'm out. But yo, I thought that you wanted to like shoot. I thought you wanted to shoot zombies. Nah, man, that was bull. I want to live. Peace. Y'all all gonna die. I was like, yo, this is the best character in the movie.
yeah, sensible. That's why he's not in the
Right?
movie.
Shoot. And speaking of deaths, we got to talk about the death scenes quickly. We got to talk about how, like, there are some cool deaths in this movie. The way they kill people. Garrett Dillahunt literally gets his face eaten off by a tiger. Like, wow. And then I forget her name, but Batista's girlfriend's neck snap.
Mm-hmm.
When I first saw that, I actually had to rewind it because I couldn't believe that they did it that way. Like, normally when you see a neck snap, it's just a neck snap and the person falls to the ground, but they actually had her spine snap out the side of her shoulder, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That is how that probably would work, right? Because you're it's all tight, so of course it would like. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think she also blinked, like she was looking at him and then she like blinked, and
Yeah.
and that also kind of makes sense because I think like there's like reports of decapitation and like you you get like 10 seconds before your brain completely shuts down. And that's like, oh,
Right.
what a crazy 10 seconds being the end of your life. That's so like disturbing. But yeah, that was definitely it kind of reminded me of Resident Evil, like how they do the deaths in Resident Evil, where it's like kind of very clean and
Yeah.
disturbing.
Right. Yeah. When we see the coyote literally get, and this isn't the point that she dies, but I guess she kind of dies off screen. But when she gets impaled by that thing that the guy throws at her, I like literally cringed. I was like, oh no, because it looked so forceful. She got like yoinked back to the wall.
Yeah,
Bad, man.
those were,
So,
yeah, I think those were definitely the most gruesome deaths. Everyone else dies kind of nicely.
yeah, because you got the other guy, he blows
He
himself
blows
up.
himself
The
up.
girl, when she gets eaten, they shoot the tank on her back, and then she gets blown up.
Hmm.
Dieter dies off screen, so we don't actually get to see how he dies.
Yeah.
Val, he technically Val technically dies off screen.
Yeah.
Um,
We don't
so
see her Kate's friend die, and we see the pilot being dead in the crash, but that's pretty much.
yeah, so no, the deaths we just mentioned were definitely the coolest deaths in the film. But yeah, all in all, I can understand why you didn't enjoy the movie as much, and it's probably because it predominantly relates around it being too long for you. But it sounds that a lot of the things that I enjoyed in the movie, you also did enjoy.
Yeah, but there was this. But I guess my overall opinion of the movie is that I didn't really like
Hmm.
it. Like there were some cool things in it. I give it a nod for creativity and some good execution, but overall I didn't really enjoy the movie.
Fair enough. It's funny. There's also this. You probably missed it. There's this one scene that's confused me, and I'm gonna look up some videos off of this afterwards. There's a point when Batista is shooting a zombie, and while its face is peeling off, there's metal underneath. And I literally was like, "What is this for?" Because I thought it was gonna come back later. Where we were gonna find out like some of these zombies are like cyborgs or some like there's some experiments or something. But they like the rain. They never come back to that. They literally show you on screen. And I went back and watched it again. You can see metal. It's not flesh. And they just never go back to it. And I'm like, what?
You know what?
What was that for?
I bet there's another hour and a half to this movie that Snyder had to cut out.
You are probably right. Um, but so that we don't have to do our own little Snyder cut of this episode, is there anything else that you wanted to close out with?
No, that was it.
So, yeah, and that's it for me. So there you go. There you have it, guys. One of the rare times that Cheryl and I disagree. She didn't like the movie. I loved it. But what do you guys think? Are you kind of in her camp where you didn't really enjoy it and maybe thought it was too long, or are you with me where you think that the movie was a good time and that you just generally had fun and you thought that it was a smart zombie film? Either way, Comment below, let us know, and while you're down there, if you could give us a like, share, and subscribe. Even if you don't, though, I have been Chris, and this has been
Cheryl, and we will see you all next time.